Hey everyone, thanks for showing up. Yeah, so I'm here to talk about decentralization. My name is Colin Pape. I am the founder of a project called Presearch. We are building a decentralized search engine, as we like to refer to it, the people's search engine. And if you're interested in getting paid to search, you can go on to presearch.org, register, and start earning cryptocurrency when you search. So there's been a lot of talk about decentralization today and throughout the press. The blockchain movement that has really been building over the past few years has become a really hot topic. But I think a lot of people still are not really too sure, what does decentralization really mean? And why is it so important? Why are we talking about it? Why are some of the brightest minds absolutely excited that this could be a game changer? What might a future look like where it is decentralized? And then really, what can we do to jumpstart the process, to participate ourselves, and really help the future arrive ahead of schedule? So really what decentralization is a movement, it's a mindset, and it's become a set of technologies to help us basically restore the balance of power. So we've had, as Max just discussed, kind of this shift to centralization over the past couple hundred years that's been really incredibly destructive in so many ways to the individual. And what we're really trying to do here with this movement and this mindset shift is to start to go from big to small. And what really the key drivers of big have been is kind of this notion that we need somebody to trust. There's really been this thought, I guess, sown and reinforced through media, through all the different divisions, artificial or legitimate, that have been created between us, to make us seem like we can't trust each other, and to make it seem like we need these institutions to trust. So, you know, we can't trust ourselves with money and, you know, storing value and exchanging, so we need banks. Or, you know, we can't decide how to allocate resources and how to make things happen, so we need governments. And so that is kind of predicated on them being, you know, the trusted arbiters and the people who will help us isolate the bad actors and punish the bad actors, which is, you know, some of the talks earlier about violence, and the government being the purveyors of violence in some cases. It's really been kind of on these premises in which the move to centralization have been based. But what we've seen, because of it playing out over the past couple hundred years, is that maybe it isn't really the people, it isn't our neighbors who we should be fearful of. Maybe it is the centralized entities that wield an incredible amount of power and have the ability to make often incorrect or arbitrary decisions that don't benefit the individuals within society. And so maybe it's, you know, that whole kind of lock on trust is misplaced. And then with banks, we see, you know, bailouts, we see quantitative easing, so, you know, printing trillions and trillions of dollars and penalizing people who are savers and people who are responsible with capital. And what we end up doing when we are kind of supporting those systems is we're basically voting for more of it. We're asking for that power to be taken away from us as individuals, as organizations, and placed into the hands of these generally not particularly responsive and sometimes completely the opposite organizations that start to take this power and do things that we don't support. I don't know how many people really support the wars, for instance, that we get engaged in, or who support some of the other policies that are destructive to humanity, but that are being inflicted by the powers that be. And so right now we're kind of on this precipice where, because of technology, there's a bit of a surveillance state that has been developed. We're all walking around with phones. Those are constantly collecting and broadcasting information. We're putting our most intimate thoughts, thoughts that used to be reserved for internal prayer, for instance, going into a platform like Google, let's say. And we're really kind of setting the stage potentially for that information and for just this lack of power to be utilized in a really negative way. On the other side, with decentralization, which is really about enabling trust between individuals, so peer-to-peer trust, putting trust within a set of math algorithms or rules, systems that are redundant and have been proven to be almost impossible to falsify, and enabling those systems to start to accrue some of the power that these more centralized systems have owned over the past 50, 100, 200 years. And so it's really exciting. That's why so many of these really brilliant minds and a lot of people, I mean, this is all types of people, all different walks of life, who have maybe felt like the systems that we've had in the past have kind of limited their ability to really participate. And we heard Max talk about mutual aid. It's a fantastic example in just doing shit. And so everybody who has really understood blockchain and the power of this technology, the internet, to start to shift that balance of power, sees a way to potentially create kind of a new renaissance, potentially a new society that is organized in a ground-up, bottom-up fashion that really is connected to the people who are experiencing the problems and the people who are actually procuring the resources, instead of going through all these layers of bureaucracy and management or mismanagement, and to start to utilize things more effectively to further the individual and the ability for us to be happy and fulfilled and prosperous, and to create community and to create the family structures and all the different organizations that we want to support our ideals and our beliefs and our visions. And so what we've seen, particularly with something like Bitcoin, where there becomes a currency that is created, and you have the ability to transfer value between people and the ability to fund initiatives that you might identify with a lot more easily than you could with the traditional financial mechanisms that we have available. It just opens up so many doors, and it enables so many different people that are currently being marginalized and are not participating in the system and are in this kind of lean back consumer mode, sitting there waiting for other people to do stuff, to start to be able to get their projects funded, or to be able to connect with people who have funded projects and participate, or to not even need funding because the costs of things have been radically diminished, and you have this new ability to really efficiently realize a vision for a project, a way to solve a problem. And so it's a really exciting time, but on the other hand, it's a precarious time. And so what we really need to do at this point is to go all in, I think, on these technologies, on the people who are creating and helping us understand how we can utilize them, and really try to build as much momentum in a positive way as we can towards this other future that we may see, where it's not a surveillance state, where it's not a mass bureaucracy, where we have more individual freedom and prosperity and the ability to determine our futures. And so it's really important that people understand what the opportunity is here and really what potentially the costs are if we don't seize the opportunity. And with the speakers that you've heard here today, you've heard kind of both ends of those spectrums, I think. And so, you know, you think about things like voting, for instance, you know, the ability to basically have a tamper-proof system that could enable, for instance, rather than representative democracy, could be direct democracy, where we are voting on the individual issues that affect us, having a much more granular ability to influence and participate in the decision-making process and to bring about a better future that is more aligned with our beliefs and our values. And so what we're really trying to do is rally people around this notion that there's a different way. And how you can get involved, I mean, it's really pretty easy. There are no experts in this space because it's so young. Bitcoin is less than 10 years old. And a lot of the people who are within this blockchain space have only been at it for a couple of years. That's a phenomenal opportunity for anybody who kind of shares these values of freedom and of individual choice and who would like to see a future where the individual is respected and where the individual can participate and more easily realize its potential. And so, you know, you can jump in, you can start reading. There's so much information out there. The beauty of this movement is that it's open source. So the technology that's being developed, the information that's being created and shared, it's all being disseminated generally free of charge. And you can go online and you can become an expert. There are communities all over the place, and the cryptocurrency community in particular is a really great place to start because it's kind of ground zero for the impact of blockchain technology, which could potentially influence just about any different realm of business or organizational development, governance within the future. But cryptocurrency right now, so Bitcoin, Ethereum, some of these other currencies, they're really kind of the way that we can start to allocate resources to this different future. And so you can go online and you can start researching them. You can go onto Reddit. You can go on to Cointelegraph.com. We have our site Presearch, where we're basically connecting people with more cryptocurrency resources as they're conducting their regular you know, Google searches. And so as you start to learn and you start to understand just what the potential is, it becomes about, you know, sharing these this knowledge with the people that are around you, getting more people out to events like this. This event should have tens of thousands of people participating because it's that important. And so what we need to do is to continue to rally people, to educate them, and mostly inspire people. So leverage the technology, leverage the knowledge to build the lives that we want, to show people what can be done. As Max said, get shit done, involve our community, lead with love, and build a better future together. Thank you.